What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet. And I am black up in your face again with some more pro black commentary. So, very interesting story has popped up, and I shared it on my Mad Black TV Facebook. It is the story that the Wall Street Journal has written about the WNBA basketball player Caitlin Clark. And not so much her, but they are basically saying that they want to maybe investigate or see if they can get federal charges because Caitlin Clark gets fouled by the black female players in the WNBA. You heard that right. Because they feel she is a white woman being mistreated within the WNBA, and she is getting a lot of unfair treatment and unfair scrutiny. They feel that maybe they need to petition the federal government, the actual Department of Justice, to get federal charges. I don't know against who. I guess against the WNBA or the black female players. I don't know. But they feel that Caitlin Clark's civil rights are being violated, and they want to get some federal charges in there to come out there and save her, basically. And when I saw this, I was like, this has to be probably the whitest thing I've seen all year, right? This is on the same level as white people supporting Kyle Rittenhouse or supporting George Zimmerman. This is very white in its conception and in the way that they're going about this, right? Now, what's interesting about this whole story is, how do you quantify how often a player is being fouled or being hurt before you can somehow make it seem like it's somehow they're being discriminated against, right? Because just by sheer logic of what the sport is, if she's playing and she has the ball, like what are people supposed to do? It's funny because just in my opinion, basketball has gotten soft as hell nowadays. I'm talking about just the NBA itself. So I'm sure the WNBA is probably just as bad. But I remember there was a time where, they would fight on the court. I remember when they would get rough and tumble, throwing elbows and everything else, knocking each other over, bouncing the ball off each other's heads, all this other stuff on the court. And now it just seems like everybody is just soft. LeBron James, as big as he is always flopping and flailing around on the court. It's like, I don't know what's happened to basketball, but it seems like it's become like the softest sport in the United States these days. And I knew as soon as, white people, anytime they get like a hero or someone that they can attach themselves to, that they'll do anything possible to protect this white hero that they have. They did the same thing for, Elvis Presley. They did the same thing for Eminem. And now within the WNBA, they're doing the same for Caitlin Clark. Even though she doesn't even really want it. She just kind of wants to play the game and sort of be left alone. But, when you're in a system of white supremacy, white people have to put you on a pedestal, right? And it doesn't help when you have a lot of these coons out here doing the same thing. You have a lot of these Negroes who call themselves sportscasters who are putting extras on Caitlin Clark. People like Stephen A. Smith and the walking turd, Jason Whitlock. They all overpraise her and make it seem like she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, of course, they're in support. Or I'll say Stephen A. Smith is, he's kind of doing a I told you so about this whole idea of, getting federal charges for Caitlin Clark. And I'll play some of the audio for that so you folks can hear it if you haven't heard it already. But let's listen first to what these white people are saying here about, wanting to have federal charges just because Caitlin Clark gets fouled. And what was interesting about this is it's an interview with Bill O'Reilly, of all people. Like he's interviewing the writers at the Wall Street Journal about this, just putting this idea out there that Caitlin Clark should get some federal charges. Now, I thought Bill O'Reilly was gone. I thought that they got rid of him after, he sexually harassed the women over there at Fox News and also physically and verbally abused his wife. I thought he was done for after that, but somehow they have exhumed his old bigot ass up to talk about this. So let's listen to what this journalist has to say about how poor widow Caitlin is being treated by the mean old black females in the WNBA and why the federal government needs to get involved. Let's listen here.
There's a lot of jealousy and animosity, and that can be understood, right? If you've been a VP of the league in the past,
I'm sorry for stopping it already, but let me say this. One of the problems that white people have is that they always project their own feelings onto all black people. So they assume that all of these black women must be just so jealous of Caitlin Clark because she brings so much attention to not only herself, but the WNBA, and everyone's always, praising her. They must automatically be jealous and out to get her and trying to hurt her, right? But that's how white people operate. That's what you do when anytime a black person entered a sport, that's how you acted. So they assume that other people must have the same feelings and must be doing exactly the same thing. So you say, that's why they say, oh, the animosity, it's understandable. Yeah, because that's how they think. That's how these white bigots think. Let's listen some more. I'll rewind it a bit and we'll play it from the beginning. Let's go.
If you've been a VP of the league in the past, yet you were unable to achieve the visibility and perhaps the endorsements that Caitlin Clark has received right out of the gate, it shows that it's normal to assume that there would be some degree of resentment. However, the concern is that resentment is then leading to targeting on the court. It's happening at a higher rate for Caitlin Clark than anyone else.
How do they quantify that? If she has the ball, of course, there's going to be focus on her. That's what happens when you're a player that gets the ball. If you're getting the ball more, then there's going to be more people trying to stop you. You see how that works? That's how the game is played. The same thing happened to Michael Jordan. The same thing has happened to LeBron James. All great players go through that. If everyone's giving you the ball to make the points, of course, people are going to want to gang up on you to stop you from scoring. Okay, that's what it is. It has nothing to do with her race. Let's keep on listening.
And unfortunately, it's creating a textbook hostile work environment for Caitlin Clark. And under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, the federal government does have an ability to engage here, should they so choose. And so she's facing a hostile work environment. Unfortunately, it appears that it does impact a protected class, her race, as evidenced by quotes by players in the league. And there is a federal element here to where the government can intervene.
Yeah, so now they want to get the government involved in basketball. Out of all the things that the government should be concentrating on, with President Tangerine fucking up the economy and screwing up with public relations, screwing up things both foreign and domestic, the thing that these fools want to concentrate on is saving their poor widow Caitlin from the mean old black girls out there, right? And like I said, it's typical because this is what white people do when it comes to this type of, putting these white people in these black spaces on a pedestal. These white people will do anything to protect their heroes that they have created. Because, let's be honest, a lot of the attention on Caitlin Clark is manufactured. Okay, she's mediocre, she's okay, but they're going to put extras on it because she's white. And they're going to give it extra scrutiny just because she's white. And they're talking about the league has become more popular since she's been there. She's bringing attention to the league. That just proves white people's racism in that regard. Because the only reason they watch it is because this white girl is someone that the media has decided to hype up and put the focus on. All right, it's the same thing with Eminem. You know how people say Eminem's the greatest all time because he has high album sales? Well, of course he's going to have high album sales if you have white people who have never bought hip hop before decide that they're going to buy Eminem album. Of course he's going to have high album sales. That's just the way it is. But it has nothing to do with the actual merit of what he's doing, or it has nothing to do with his music actually being good. It just happens to do with the media train and white people and their own internal bigotry automatically supporting someone just because they're white. So let's listen to what Mr. Forehead has to say here, Mr. Stephen A. Smith, because he talks about this, and basically he takes the angle of you see, you Negroes are being so mean to Caitlyn. You didn't put her on the Olympic team. You didn't do all this good stuff for her. So now the federal government is going to get involved, and Trump might get involved too. Basically, he's coming with the whole massa going to get us because we've been treating this white girl so bad. That's basically his mindset here. So let's listen to what he has to say. And there's actually some more I want to let you guys listen to as well. But let's listen to this one small part here.
If the WNBA continues to allow this treatment of Caitlin Clark, you really think they're going to be silent?
Masters are coming. Master Orange is going to come get us if we don't be nice to this white girl. We got to protect this white girl or else Master's coming, y'all. He sounded all scared with his eyes bucking, his lips poked out. Like, Negro, stop it. Stop it with your big windshield forehead. Let's listen some more.
Before you go any further, I'm not here saying that the case will be won by the government if it got to that point or anything like that. I'm saying they have a case. They have an argument. And do we doubt that at his discretion, at his disposal, if he finds this to be an issue that's politically expedient for him, that Trump won't use this to feed his base?
Oh, Lord, Masters will come and see y'all done made white folks mad. Y'all done made white folks mad, and now Masters gonna come and get us. He gonna get the federal government on us. That's what this Negro is saying. But yeah, and see, here's the thing. Stephen A., like always, is trying to straddle the fence on this story because he doesn't want to offend his white bigot audience, and he has a large one. That's the only reason this Negro has a high salary. That's the only reason he's on TV, is because he will get out there and degrade black people for white people's amusement on his show. All right. However, he's still trying to make it seem like, I'm still down with black people, because I'm not saying, he put it in there saying, I'm not saying this case will be won in court, but it can still happen because we making white people mad. But listen to what this Negro says here. This upset me when he did it during his little speech here about this whole situation, where he basically said that he has the footage and he can show you how Caitlin Clark has been abused by these mean old black girls. He's like, I could do that. I could bring up the footage, but I won't do that. But I could do it. I could let you see it. So this Negro is basically letting white folks know. He's like, listen, I got the documentation now. When they was being mean to Caitlyn, I can show y'all where these Negroes were being mean to her, right? Let's listen to what he says here, because he's about to go into that.
A couple of graphs, because I want you to hear the impact of this. This is serious. This is serious. And I could say it with my team here, having the footage and the receipts to back me up. I could be in that I told you so mode. I really could. But I ain't going to do that, because I'm in a good mood. I'm going to
see. I told you I told you white folks was going to be mad if you don't treat this white girl right. And this Negro went through a litany of things talking about how they didn't have her on the Olympic team, or talking about like how she's so popular and the WNBA doesn't, stop people from fouling her. She's like, he says she's like the Michael Jordan of the WNBA. But Steven, Michael Jordan, he got fouled too. The Pistons beat the hell out of Michael Jordan back in the day. Do you remember that? Does your mega mind forehead, can it reach back in time that far? Do you remember when Michael Jordan got the hell beat out of him by the Pistons when they won the NBA Finals that year when he first started playing? Right? It wasn't just like they make it seem as if this has never happened to any other player, as if Caitlin Clark is some anomaly. She's the only player that's never where people have gone at her on the court. Like I said before, all great players have gone through this. Dr. J's gone through it. Okay, Magic Johnson has gone through it. Michael Jordan has gone through it. That's what happens, and great players rise through that adversity to become even greater. You understand? Michael Jordan, yeah, he got the hell beat out of him by the Pistons, so he even talked about like, yeah, I trained, right? I just started lifting weights and stuff and putting some weight on myself so they wouldn't throw me around on the court, right? And made himself a better player. That's what players do. They don't go crying and begging the federal government to intervene on their behalf, right? Like to me, if the federal government gets involved, then that makes Caitlin Clark a DEI player at that point, right? Because now she's getting special treatment by the federal government, and they're trying to keep her in that spot. They're trying to elevate her based on her race. So that makes her a DEI hire. That means she's not staying there based on her merit. She's not rising to the occasion as a player. That means she can't keep up with the players that are already there. So that means she's a DEI hire then, right? So, like I said, these people, they like to play games with, using the law to their advantage. That's basically all white supremacy is using the law to their own personal advantage. That's why they make these laws, right? But, when it comes to this whole situation, it's just been it's ridiculous. I'm not surprised by it. The only thing I agree with Stephen A. Smith on this thing is that, yeah, it is serious because, white people take white supremacy very seriously. So you do have to keep an eye out for them when they do stuff like this. But, as far as Caitlin Clark and, them wanting, she's always been put on a pedestal, and it's kind of ridiculous. And in a way, I don't necessarily blame her. It's just the way white supremacy wants to focus on her, and they just won't let it go. No matter what she says personally about the whole situation, they still want to present her as this great thing. And it doesn't help when you got windshield forehead Negroes like Stephen A. Smith and turd-looking people like Jason Whitlock going out there and supporting these white supremacist ideas of getting the federal government involved in this whole of someone getting fouled on the court. That's ridiculous. You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I'd love to hear your opinions on this story. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on a devil's back.